Sweet. Hi guys, Max here from LRT. Today I'm going to be talking about a fantastic rifle that we've been given by AI, and it is the International ATXC. And I just want to talk about how I've actually set it up. Okay, first of all, we're going to start off from the rear. So I'm going to talk about the butt pad. So the actual butt of the chassis system itself, you can adjust the length of pull. So back and forward, you can also adjust the caster, okay? So for those that don't know, the caster, the butt pad, you can basically change the angle, how that butt pad sits in your shoulder. I've actually adjusted that ever so slightly to come over. Now, didn't really have to, but I just found on my dominant side, when I'm in between either that pocket or sort of like the mid of my clavicle, I find that it's a really comfortable position. If I'm shooting offhand, I don't really notice the difference either, but it is really nice when I'm in my primary position. Next, we'll talk about the length of pull then. So the length of pull on this is very short, like for me, as in I've set it up very short. Mainly because I'm focusing solely on, I want a good natural point of aim. If my length pull is really long, I ended up with my rifle and my body, like I'm angled basically. Once my rifle's in, I'm facing that way, rifle's facing that way. Not ideal, because every time I shoot, the rifle wants to point where the whole foundation is facing, okay? So I have it nice and short, so whether I'm in a prone, whether I'm more elevated, sort of chest position, when I have that rifle in position, I can maintain a better natural alignment towards the target I'm shooting at, or at least that's the theory. Moving forwards then, so the ATX has a folding stock, which is fantastic for storage and for transportation. You know, if you're in a professional environment, you know, folding that stock down just makes that system so much smaller, a lot more stowable. Put it into your bag or however you're transporting it, and in a civilian-like sense, you know, putting that in your gun locker or, you know, taking out a bag, taking it to the range, whatever. It just makes it a lot more transportable, which I really like, and it is solid. Like that lockup is hang a truck off that. Next, then pushing forwards, you can see I've got this B5 Industries AR. Vertical AR grip. Fantastic thing about the ATX is that you've got, well, it's compatible with any AR grips. So in there, just a normal bolt, just like any AR, just unscrew that and you can put whatever you want on as long as it's compatible with AR. This one, again, is a more vertical grip. The one that comes with the ATX is slightly too angled for me personally. I found that a more vertical grip gives me a better trigger pull. If it's completely vertical, then that is pretty good. However, I've gone slightly non-vertical just because some other rifles I use, it's not fully vertical. I didn't want to sort of train perfect with one and then not sort of train so good with the others. So this is kind of like a happy medium, but it definitely feels a lot better. And it matches the color, which is fantastic. Next then, talk about, so yeah, classic, massive AI bolt. Nice smooth action, to be fair. Don't get me wrong, it's quite new, so it is a little bit, not sticky, but you can feel it needs to be run a few times. I haven't actually put any rounds through this yet, so this is completely brand new, which is pretty cool. Cool, next, so the trigger then. So the trigger on this is a two-stage trigger. I don't mind whether I've got a one-stage or a two-stage. I like it doesn't really make many odds to me. I like I like the two-stage trigger on this, however. It is, I'm not sure how many pounds it is, but it is, so that's the first bit. So you've got nice like sort of wiggle room, and then it's tiny. I don't know what that poundage actually is. I can't measure it, but it is very, very crisp. Lovely. So you might have noticed there's, when I was pulling the trigger there, I rested my thumb on this little bit that's sticking out. So that's actually like a little clip that goes into the folding stock. So when you fold, that goes into there and kind of holds it in place. I've actually got a LRF button there, so it kind of stops that. I'll have to take it out. However, when that's not in use, like holding the stock over, you can put your thumb on there and it becomes a really comfortable position, to be fair. Nice sort of place to, like a little touch point for good consistency, but also when I don't want to wrap, got my thumb round, it's just a nice place. It also gives me, or makes sure that my hand's in a good position to have a 90-degree pull. Whether they intended to do that, I don't know. I think you can get some aftermarket, you can unscrew that and put some ones in, but I don't know, I haven't used them personally, but I quite like that. I think it's a nice position for me. Moving forwards then, so I mentioned it, I've got an LRF button on here. On top, I've got a Vortex Impact given to us by Optics Warehouse. It's pretty good. We used it on Mammoth Sniper Challenge, and like they are good. The only issue is with civilian overbore LRFs is they don't quite have the oomph that military ones do. So, for example, this is the Impact 4000. The laser's good, but any sort of laser rangefinder, whatever it says, like the number is, it's usually like, you know, a good degrees less. That's what it's actually able to do, because that'll be in perfect situations you can get. And you know, other laser systems that I've used that have a similar sort of range to this one, again, same thing. I have been able to, you know, even go past what it says it can do on the tin, but majority of the time it is like a good like half, if not 2/3 less, and that's just because of weather conditions and stuff. The weather conditions for us, majority of the time, I'm in England, overcast, which is advantageous, but it's usually wet. And if it's misty and things, your laser's struggling. And that's what I have found with this. It is a little bit of a pain to calibrate, and the laser system, if it's not perfect conditions, you can really see the difference. And like, I'm struggling to laser this thing. However, it is a good piece of kit, and it does work. For what I've been using it for, it is fantastic. This whole setup we'll talk about in a second, but I basically moved this from rifle to rifle. So yeah, so the Vortex Impact button has a key mod adapter, which is what all these are. These are key mod, so that you can just put it on, and it's in a perfect place. So they've definitely thought about that. Hence, that is an ideal place for my LRF. So I can be on the gun, I can then be looking through, adjusting, and then I can get back on the trigger. So I don't have to move around. I've had it before, where I've had to put them on along here and other places where you can fit them, or you put them on with like Velcro tape, like stick-on tape. It does work, but yeah, this is solid. You don't have to worry about that popping out. However, the button can pop out, but that's on there, which is cool. So then this system up here then, so this system pretty much stays how it is, pretty much. I've got a Night Force Attacker 5x25 by 56 first focal plane in MRAD with a Tremor 3 reticle. This is a beast. This is an absolute beast. This whole setup is a bit of a beast. You know, you've got it in tier 1 mono mount with the accessory rail, the diving board, and yeah, fantastic. I've got an actually first cant level on the back. I prefer bubble. Bubble don't need batteries, you know. I can run that all the time, don't have to worry. You've got little lines in there, and that's every 3 degrees. So if you're pulling any form of cant, you know, there's no excuses. You can go, ah, shit, that was me. All right. So good thing about actually first cant level is it works opposite. So it uses, I guess it's like negative pressure. So it doesn't use a bubble. So the bubble is obviously less dense than the water. So as you move, the bubble moves to the top. However, it's got like a little ball in there, which is more dense. So as you move around, the water moves, and the ball actually moves to the way that you want to angle. So I literally cant the rifle that way, it moves there. Yeah, it's good, it works. Cool. That then just gets moved around to my different rifles. I like trying to use the same kit and equipment. Very fortunate to have this kit that is been given to us. However, I don't have infinite amount of these. So I try and use them on every rifle. I try to move it around if I can. If I can't, I'll just use a different optic. But this is my go-to. Yeah, beast. Next then, you can kind of see that I've put some like little paint marks on there, just if I'm using it or if I'm beating it up and stuff, I can maintain, or I can look at it and go, right, everything's still torqued down correctly. Don't have to keep checking. I've had it so many times where torque something down, okay, use it, put loads of rounds through it, pick it out and you look at it, you go to screw it down again, you're like, oh shit, that's come loose, all right. So there, just a visual, okay, I'm good to go. Sweet. Moving forward then, so haven't got any rails or anything on top. For any form of like inline, I would love to be able to stick an inline on this and use it at night. It'd be fantastic, and the rifle would just look so sexy. But I haven't. I just have to get a key mod Picatinny adapter, put it on top, but that's absolutely no dramas at all. Like, just pick one up, pretty simple. To the front then, I've got the Tier 1 carbon bipod on there. This is with an Arca adapter on the top, and this is fantastic. Got three positions, so we see up, 45, and then 90, and then you've got an extended option there. Extends enough, definitely enough. That down by itself is kind of like a Harris bipod, and then all the way down, I mean, it's like a Harris Plus. So good for like long grass and stuff like that if you're setting up in a prone position. Not quite as long as a SkyPod, but hey, that's like a foot, just over a foot, so it's good to go. And you can set up in different positions. Doesn't go up, but you can pull it down for like quick access. It also locks into that position as well, so you ain't got to worry about it like flipping up. So wherever you put it, again, you've got this little button at the top. Yeah, locks into position, again, which is awesome. It means you can also like bench off this, and yeah, you can do other bits and bobs with it. You could use that, you know, to like maybe bench off like a wall, I don't know. You could use it in a different way. It's solid, is what I'm trying to say. You can adjust it at the back as well. So at the minute, it can move left or right. I've tightened it down a little bit, so it's a bit tighter. And there's also another one at the front where you can change the whole thing, basically can spin round. I wasn't a fan of that personally, so wrenched in that, so now it doesn't move left or right. Because what was so frustrating was you'd flip it down and then it would just move around, or when you set it back up, it would like wander. And then when you flick it down, it's like on the piss and you've got to fuck around with it. I didn't want that. So just tightened it, good to go. Coming to the front then, so this barrel, so these are 24-inch ATXs. And yeah, they're on 1 and 8 twist, 6.5 Creedmoor, with the classic AI muzzle brake and the thread protector. We haven't got suppressors for these. Did think about taking off the muzzle device and sticking on a muzzle device, sticking on a suppressor. However, what we want to use these for is NRL hunter or like sort of sniper matches and stuff like that. For NRL hunter, obviously it needs to be light. Currently in this setup, it's too heavy. It's too heavy by, well, minus this, it's too heavy by about £1 pound to meet the open heavy, which is like frustrating. Obviously this could be factory, I suppose, but it's, yeah, it's too heavy. It needs to be £16. At the minute, minus that, it's £17. So we need a different barrel basically, but that's what we want to use it for. Any more weight, I suppose, yeah, I don't want extra weight on it. But I want to get shooting it first, see how it handles. If I feel it's a bit snappy, then I might put a suppressor on it, because you know that can sort of elongate that recoil impulse and make it feel a little bit smoother, be easier to stay on target. But yeah, I mean, an AI without a suppressor on kind of does look silly. But I personally think that's a beautiful rifle. Absolutely fantastic. If you like this video, then please let us know. We can definitely do some more. We've got some other rifles, some interesting stuff to talk about. Obviously very simple, just talk about the gun. Next thing we want to do is obviously get it on the range and do some shooting with them. And then that is, yeah, the rifle then speaks for itself. I'm speaking for the rifle right now, but that's when it can talk for itself. So thank you very much.